Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
It's time for some spoiler talk. Eric and I are going to do a couple of short spoiler casts. I almost said at the same time. Not at the same time. We're not going to talk about these two movies simultaneously. But we're going to do one and then the other, Eric. Let's talk a little bit more about Incredibles 2. We haven't done any spoiler talk on that. I don't want to spend more than a few minutes on this, but people were asking about a couple of things in that movie that we weren't able to get to because we just did how we felt about. It's been weeks since we've seen it. I don't know how well it's sticking with me.
I mean,
right
the
now.
only thing that I really feel I need to expand upon is the villain.
Yeah, and that's the big thing people were asking us about. So
do you want me to just talk about my feelings on that?
Yeah,
because I remember that because I've talked about that.
No, and we'll just kind of get into that. That's the main thing, and then I think maybe the ending people might want us to talk about a little bit.
And I also wasn't alone on that character design. At least one person.
I know, I saw that.
I was like, me and my wife were completely struck by that character design.
I guess I was wrong. I was really surprised by it. It just did not even occur to me. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my thing with the villain and why I don't love it.
And the main thing I wanted to talk about was just the twist and how it wasn't much of a twist for me. But yeah,
it's hard to do a twist when there's only two suspects.
Sure. Yeah. That's tough.
Regardless of which one it would have been, we would have been like, well, yeah, obviously.
Well, unless it turned out that it was neither of them.
Yeah, but then who do you make it?
Well, what you thought it was, which is that villain was its own villain all the time. You see what I'm saying? Like.
Well, but immediately once we introduce the two of them, I assume one of them is.
Me too, but the subversive thing to do would have been to make neither of them the villain.
That's true. That's true.
And
it's just
to have Screenslaver a character in the background, which you told me you thought it was, and I was surprised by that.
Did I? I don't remember saying that. Okay.
Yeah, or maybe you thought that up until we got to that point. But from the moment Screenslaver shows up, I never thought it was a character. I always thought it was going to be somebody that we knew.
Yeah.
Part of the real quick, the issue for me with it was it was a little bit too much of the formula of the first film.
Mm.
Because it's a person at least related to someone that one of our heroes goes off and works for and then turns out to be bad.
Mm.
And that's why I was hoping that it was subverted and it wouldn't be that. Ultimately, I think her motivation is kind of interesting, and I think her and her brother, I think paralleling them, I think comparing them is fascinating.
Yeah.
I think that's all really cool.
Yeah.
It was just in the moment the reveal wasn't great.
No.
Is all. Doesn't wreck the movie or anything. And I'm not saying that the movie is a carbon copy of the first movie at all.
No.
It's not. That part of it reminded me too much of that first movie.
Yeah. Well, and we know from Interview with Brad Bird that was not the intention for the villain.
Right.
They lost a year. Toy Story 4 took a year from their production cycle. I want to swear, we waited 14 years?
And then they had to rush it.
They made this big deal about how long they waited.
They lost 2 years, I think.
They lost 2?
I think.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That we waited that long and then like, can you do it real fast?
Or maybe not. Is Toy Story 4 next year?
It's next year.
Well, then I guess it wouldn't be. It feels like I read in that article that they lost 2 years, but then how would it be 2 if it's...
Yeah, I thought I read 1, but...
I don't know.
Whatever.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So, and it shows. And in the villain it shows. Because he says it was going to be an AI thing, and we kind of rushed this villain. Like, that was the biggest thing that got rushed. Or dropped, and then like, we had to come up with something. Here's the thing. The villain's philosophy is fascinating and can be used in the same way as the villain philosophy from the first film. The idea of using superheroes as a metaphor for a culture of dependency. Using superheroes... In the first film, superheroes were used as a metaphor for, like, excellence and being all you can be, and that everyone is special in their own way. Everyone's not special. Like, right? Like, and the celebration of mediocrity, right?
And that's still here.
Yeah,
we're still talking about that.
That's still here, and we're still talking about that. But her motivation, and what Screenslaver talks about in the one speech he gets, that she wrote up or whatever, the fake Screenslaver gives, which is about depends, which was about watching television, right?
It is about technology.
Yeah. It would be so it would be so like finger on the pulse to do a movie using superheroes as a metaphor for Google culture and Wikipedia culture, where
we just call it when we need it and we never think about anything.
Yeah, and we have everything in our hands. We don't ever have to actually think or worry about it. It's right there, and
she just uses that as an excuse for a fake villain motivation that is somewhat connected.
Well, it's also a motivation.
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah,
but the technology thing is kind of tacked on.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And this was your argument because I argued off camera that it was more related, and I'm making your argument now because I agree with you from the discussion we had off camera. But anyway, but the it ultimately just comes off like kind of a somewhat fake motivation when that would have been a more interesting thing to delve into. Her whole issue is our parents died because you called superheroes instead of calling the cops.
Yeah.
And the superheroes are just there to showboat. They're not actually there to help anybody. And that is not unrelated to...
Or they're still flawed and human and can't help everybody.
Right. That's not unrelated to the A story because the movie opens with Bob Parr being kind of more of a showboater than he actually is, you know, a real hero. Like, he is a hero, but we're finding that it was, for a lot of the superheroes, as much about being in the public eye and just having fun being a superhero than it was than the practical stuff. And so his wife's the practical one, and he's not. And it's connected in that way. But your whole thing when we talked about this before was that all roads are not leading to the same place like they were in the first movie.
Yes. The thing is, she has a motivation I think is fascinating, and I wish was fleshed out more, because I think there's an awesome metaphor to do with that. The idea that instead of using your own brain and remembering an actor, you just Google it. Like, combining that with everything, with the idea of, like,
that numbs us.
Yes, and you
which is what 60s Batman was all about.
And you don't have the ability to defend yourself.
Yeah.
No, because it's not called the cops, it goes to the panic room. Instead of going to the panic room, he called a superhero.
Yeah, that's right.
You can take care of yourself.
That's right.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, self-reliance.
Yes.
I forgot about the panic room thing, yeah.
It's self-reliant. Sorry, it's been 3 weeks
If we would just learn to solve our own problems instead of and that is connected to the idea of we use Google like we use a calculator.
Yes. I love that.
No,
it's a great idea.
But the whole movie's not about that.
The whole movie's not about that. And it's not gone into enough, and you don't have enough time to go into it. It's a great motivation for a villain in a superhero world. I love it. I wish it was developed more, and I wish it was more connected to the superhero story, like Syndrome.
I thought about this a lot. I'm not totally sure how you do that in a world where superheroes are outlawed right now.
I don't know.
Like, that's the difficult part, right? Is that we don't have that dependence at the moment. And so how do you relate that to the main story? I mean,
I trust Brad Bird.
There is
he could have done that.
What I'm saying is they probably think it's connected enough, and it's just not as intertwined as we had in the first film. And a lot of people, when you made that case more vaguely because we couldn't talk about everything and how we felt about it, we had some commenters that were like, why do you have to compare it to the first movie? Why does it have to be just like that? That's not what we're saying. Well, yeah, right, but also that's just how you tell a really tight narrative, and we're maybe holding it to that standard because it gets so close, it feels like it wants to go there, and it's just not really able to. We're not looking for a formula.
No, it's just that the first film
is explored an idea all throughout. And
it's
this
kind
really
of perfectly structured,
idea. Yeah.
And then this one is not perfectly structured.
And it's close.
Yeah, it's close.
And the thing is, if it was a completely different thing, if it was like Winter Soldier went off in a whole other genre, you wouldn't be comparing those.
No,
you wouldn't be asking for that.
If it was doing an AI thing, well, actually, if it was doing an AI thing, that might be about reliance on technology.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's the remnants of what it was really about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's, like I said in the review, I think it's a very good movie. I think the first movie is incredible. This is not incredible. And these are some of the things that hold us back from being...
But I think it's as entertaining.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. I'm not dogging this movie. I am dogging this movie, but, like, it's not a bad movie by any stretch of it. It's still better than 90% of the children's movies we put out every year.
Yeah. What I was going to say is, Bob Parr and his wife do have an argument toward the beginning, and I really liked it. I liked that they're on opposite ends at first, and trying to figure out how to get on the same page again, because they always used to be, and now they're not. And they do have this argument about a little bit about like relying on superheroes versus not doing that, where she's like, well, maybe we need oversight, and he doesn't think we should have that. I mean, they have kind of that Civil War conversation, and that's not unrelated to what the villain is ultimately talking about.
I just wish it was more integrated, and I did see someone have a comment where it's like, why does every villain have to be completely, like, fleshed out and, like, have a point? Like, why can't they just be a villain? And sure, that's fine.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
But the villain of the first Incredibles is so well thought out and so interesting. It's at a bar that I'm expecting this to meet, if not surpass. But also, what we do get from the villain, I think is fascinating, and I just want more of it.
Yeah, because we are supposed to think about this villain.
Yeah.
And she is supposed to have a point. And also I liked it. She's sympathetic in a different way to Syndrome because he was like really far gone, and
she has a point.
And she's lashing out about a horrible thing that happened to her. That's obviously a lot different from Syndrome because he felt left out and like he was an outcast. And with her, it was my whole world got destroyed, and it was because of this institution. And she's interesting as a foil for Syndrome because he loved superheroes and then came to hate them because they wouldn't let him in their club. And she never really cared for them and was proven right, she thinks. Right?
Yeah.
And then her brother's really interesting in comparison because they both have the same thing in opposite land, right? She blames what happened entirely on that institution, and that's maybe not fair. You don't know what would have happened if they got into the panic room. They might have still ended up dying. It might not have worked out. I don't know the situation entirely.
And I love her correlation where she's like, he thinks like a child. He correlates, my parents went away and so did the superheroes, therefore they're related.
Right, but is she that different? Like my parents died, and the superheroes were the people we called, so therefore they're completely to blame.
Is she also not thinking like a child? No. It's all very interesting. That's the issue. If the villain in this movie was Snidely Whiplash, and it wasn't about that, it was just about the heroes.
Yeah.
That's a completely different...
It was the Underminer, the whole movie.
Yeah, it was the Underminer, the whole movie. That's completely different. This villain is interesting, and I wish there was more... I wish there was more of it, and I wish it was more integrated into the actual thematics of the film. Because it feels like this is a film about something, and then the villain is also about something different.
Yeah.
And the first movie's not like that, and so that's my beef. That's my issue. It's still a very good movie.
But the family dynamic stuff is really good. We didn't talk about this in the How We Felt About. Dash gets nothing to do. I think that's really important.
Dash does get nothing to do.
We don't really give him anything.
But his arc is more pulled to the fore in the first film, where Mild is more pushed back. She has an arc, but it's not as pronounced as Dash's. It's not as important as Dash's.
But hers is not as compelling as his was in this movie. I thought it was pretty by the numbers.
On her side, yes, but it's all about how it relates to Bob.
And that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But that's
I love Bob as the father trying to make it work.
Sure. But she had like a real character arc that was all her own. I mean, still connected to her parents in the first movie. I think the children are kind of underutilized.
Except for Jack Jack.
Except for Jack Jack, who's wonderful. And I agree with people that say that it would be really cool to somehow at some point see a time jump where you see what he turns into. Although I wouldn't want that next. Like if they do a third movie, and I think it's begging for another film. I said that in How We Felt About. If we went forward. Just to be consistent, I feel like
it should pick up immediately.
It needs to pick up immediately after this movie.
Yeah.
We need to see the fight that they start because that's what we did. We did this last time.
Yep.
Nobody's going to get any time to sleep in this movie. This is just never going to happen. Okay,
let's time to sleep in this movie.
Let's move on and talk a little bit about Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. We will actually do sign flips this time. Why don't we do like a 3 or 4 minute real brief, just kind of non-spoiler, and then do a few spoilers, shall we? In case there's anybody that hasn't seen this yet. So your quick, just this is what I thought of this movie. Best thing, worst thing, go. If you would.
Yeah. So, this is the most fun bad movie I've seen in a while. Most bad movies I've seen lately make me angry. It's things like Last Jedi, where I'm like, everything is wrong on every level. I don't like this.
Your investment is different, too.
My investment is different.
That's important.
That's important.
My understanding, I was excited about this movie, but I realized my investment is different.
I
needed to see the movie before I knew that.
Or even things like Ghost in the Shell. Well, like Ghost in the Shell, I didn't have a huge investment with. It's bad on every level.
But it insulted your intelligence.
Yes, this movie is dumb,
it's a glorified B movie.
And it's a B movie with a budget, which you could say about Jurassic Park, but you'd be wrong.
Yeah,
Jurassic Park is dumb.
It's elevated a bit above that. This takes the dumb things from Jurassic Park and dials it to 11, and I don't know if it knows it.
Yeah, because Jurassic
that's part of what's entertaining about it. I have no idea if it knows that.
Jurassic Park is a masterfully made bad movie. Or not bad movie, masterfully made dumb movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dumb stuff in Jurassic Park. You don't care because it's made by Steven Spielberg.
But there's also some thought-provoking where your imagination runs a little bit and you can think about the moral issues and the conundrums and that kind of thing. Philosophy, chaos.
Yeah.
This, not so much.
No, this movie is an incredibly expensively made dumb movie.
There is a moral question, but it feels obligatory before it feels like something interesting to think of in the context of the movie, right? Like, there's an animal rights thing here, it's kind of an obvious thing.
And it also doesn't entirely make sense in the context of this universe. Like, it's... You need a completely new set of morality and way of thinking about things for this situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're applying the rules of existing animals to these animals, and we're not really getting into those questions.
But there is, but I mean, like, we do open with, because, you know, we've got Jeff Goldblum, but not for very long. It's a glorified cameo. But you right away you have.
It's really unfortunate to see him right after Hotel Artemis, right? Like,
right.
He's so much better in that.
He's so great in that. Well, I mean, better is relative. Like, he doesn't get anything to do. But
that's true.
But you know, he comes out and he's like, in he lays out the question, which is, should we let them die, or do we have a responsibility to them? And that might be interesting, but I feel like the argument is kind of is kind of just made for us at the end because of a silly plot twist, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But
insane. But it's also, this movie is way more interesting if it's the God question versus the military, for the military-industrial complex question.
That's right, and we spend more time on that.
Yes. If this is about, we made
and
this...
And that's a cartoon.
Yes, yes. If this was about, we made this, what ethical responsibility do we have?
But that's a talkier movie, and this does not want to be that.
No. And maybe Jurassic Park movie shouldn't be that. But I feel like that should have been your main theme around all the dinosaur action.
Yeah.
If you were to put dinosaur action in your film...
yeah,
which
sure.
I'm not convinced is in this movie as much as maybe, I don't know, it's all in a house, it's weird.
Real quick, just 2-word best thing, worst thing.
Best thing, worst thing,
Can you do it?
Best thing is, I enjoyed how much I was laughing at this movie.
Yeah.
I had a really good time watching this movie.
Yeah.
Best thing is the Velociraptor may be the second most intelligent animal on the planet.
It's great!
Worst thing is the fact that once they get off the island, the entire movie takes place in a house. Everything
I
in
like the audacity of that. I almost want to make that my best thing.
Everything in the trailer is everything in the trailer, we're like, it looks like he's like, we're like dinosaurs like jumping across rooftops, like breaking into people's houses.
It's all
one house.
Yeah, I guess we're already in a
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Which is fine. But
sorry. I wasn't thinking about that.
It's no big deal. We've already ruined that. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm feeling it in that I enjoyed watching it. I'm not feeling it as a film. I will never go back to this movie.
See, I probably will because of that.
Sure.
Because it's just so crazy.
Sure.
And my kids will love it. You know, like
Freddie
loved it.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He loved the tiny dinosaurs.
Jason will be scared by it, but maybe down the road. I don't know.
I don't know. He did all right with Jurassic World, right?
Yeah, but this...
I mean, this is rain.
This goes farther.
This is rain and darker, and body parts.
Yeah, so I could not take this movie seriously at all. And in that sense, I have to say not feeling it, because it's not what I wanted. It's not what I was expecting after that last movie. And I'm not saying that things are bad because they're not what I want. It's not what I want in the sense that it doesn't feel like it even follows that last movie in tone and the way in which that takes itself seriously, because it's got some dumb too. But there was an internal logic threshold that we have jumped now. This jumps the T-Rex hard, right? And it's also, I mean, I'm going to say my worst thing is probably retroactively adding weird things to canon, and I'm very confused about what they think Hammond is. All of that bugged me, and I just didn't like it.
We spent the whole movie trying to figure out, like, who are these people? How are they related to Hammond?
Well, we figured it out because we were we made too many expectations, right? We had too many assumptions that they were related to Hammond. It's just that he had a partner, and this is all his family. Like, they're not related to him in any way.
But I thought, I was like, oh, this is for the Jurassic Park fans. I assumed this was someone.
Right, but those are assumptions we made. Once I saw it a second time, I realized that we were wrong. We were right about none of that.
Okay.
And I don't even know that they didn't make it explicit enough. I think we just made assumptions. That's on us. The reason we did that, though, where it's not on us, is that they add this other guy in the past, who's Zephram Cochrane from First Contact. They add this other guy, and they have the genesis for Jurassic Park go way back, well before I would have ever expected it to. What happened to Jeff Goldblum, you built your ideas on top of geniuses and then used them for yourself. Like, it feels like, I don't know if this guy was a geneticist or just a rich person. I have no idea. But the way he talks about Hammond, it sounds like this movie thinks maybe he was a scientist. I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but that's what it feels like, and that's all weird and confusing, and I don't like the idea that they did any of the genetic work themselves, and that we did the first test here in this house. And
he was just a rich guy that wanted dinosaurs.
It was all about a theme park in the first place. It's all it was. When he's got that line, we're in full spoiler territory. He's got that line. I'm just saying that's where we are. We are now, so everybody knows. We're going to straight up spoil things now. He's got that line. I forget his name now, but the Zefram Cochrane guy, where he says that Hammond Hammond said that we didn't need to protect the dinosaurs. We needed to leave them alone. At what point does he say that? Because he
was it before or after he made a theme park where he enslaved them?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Maybe he thought that. I guess maybe he could have said that between 1 and 2. Right?
He could have, but I don't know if that's what the way he's talking about that like it was his guiding principle. But he also
that guy wouldn't have made dinosaurs.
But they also talk about the mistakes they made too. I'm just very confused about all that, and it felt unnecessary to add all that later. And it was real Spider-Man 3 about that.
Yeah,
and of course
with
he's in Spider-Man 3. Yeah, so that was irritating. But
I'm glad he's still acting. I haven't seen him in a while.
My favorite thing, I'm going to go for special effects. There's a lot of this that looks better than Jurassic World, which I'm really surprised by.
Yes.
Most of the time, I feel like the dinosaurs are actually really there, and that was a problem with Jurassic World. But part of that is because it's a little smaller, which is weird because you wouldn't expect that.
It's also lit in darkness. It's not broad daylight.
I was going to say that. Yeah. So the biggest issue with this movie is when you get to the end, it's not what they think it is. The whole idea of this movie, and again, I'm comparing this to the Spider-Man franchise, it has the worst advertising campaign I've seen since Spider-Man 2, and since Amazing Spider-Man 2, and for the same reasons. They showed us breaking everything, and they showed us the last images from the movie, and everything that I thought was cool about the advertising, everything I thought maybe they would do, became really obvious the more advertising I got. I was like, I've already seen this movie. Turned out I hadn't really actually seen this movie because it went way more audacious than I ever could have expected. It was just absolutely preposterous, this movie. But
this movie was chaos.
I saw the teaser, and a lot of people were like, this is going to be a bad movie, and they were right, but not for the reasons they probably expected. I told Eric, I was like, but I think the Jurassic World's going to be a double entendre. I think the dinosaurs are going to get off the park, and we're going to have to coexist with them, and there's going to be dinosaurs everywhere, and there's going to be, this is an important point, there's going to be too many of them that we couldn't possibly contain them, so we just have to figure out how to live with them, and it's Jurassic World. That's not what happens! We get to the end of this movie, which I don't think is a premise and a story enough to even sustain a whole movie, hardly. We lose our protagonist completely. And it feels like this is the status quo changer movie so that we can get to the story they really want to tell. I think the next movie is liable to be a soberer film. I really do. I think the next movie probably will not be crazy out there B-movie like this was.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's what I think. And but I don't know what that movie is because it doesn't feel like you have a movie there either. If this movie had, and I feel like you could start from this place. Couldn't you start with, we don't need to do a whole movie about it because it wouldn't be that interesting. Couldn't you just open with, there's dinosaurs all over the world now?
Yeah.
You know, just tell us that we went there and we got them off for some reason.
Especially because I don't believe it based on the ending of this movie, where we have, was it one of each dinosaur?
There's a few that there's more than one, but not enough to perpetuate the species for any of them. So the next movie is going to have to contrive a reason to make more dinosaurs happen in the first place. This is a mulligan of a movie. It's kind of pointless at the end of the day. It's really silly that we get to the end and we use Jeff Goldblum's line, which I'm convinced is part of the same speech he was giving at the beginning, which is in the context of this now, but he doesn't know that there's actually going to be dinosaurs
I assume that the
in the
speech
world.
was at the beginning and the end is the same speech, but it takes place after. I assume we're seeing the beginning of a speech that takes place after the movie.
No, because at the beginning, he says, I think we should kill them all. He's talking about them still on the island. He's like, I think we should kill them all.
Oh, okay.
He comes right out and says that.
Okay.
It looks like the same speech to me, and it has
it's
to
the
be
same,
before.
I mean, they shot on the same day.
Yeah. No, of course. He's wearing the same clothes. So
I got like $5 million.
But he's like,
showed up for 2 hours.
yeah, and also, if it's part of another speech, what exactly is that hearing about? Should we round up the dinosaurs or just leave them all running around? See, here's the thing. This is the United States government. I'm theorizing here. This is just a notion. Feel like maybe the United States government would have the resources to do what a relatively small private company had the resources to do in this movie, which is round up a few dozen dinosaurs. Not that hard. Also, don't think they're going to be as hard to track as Blue was in the jungle, because people are everywhere and they're going to see them. I don't understand the end of this
cell
movie.
phones and we can stream it directly to YouTube.
Yeah, and we're gonna do that. Oh, so many people are gonna get eaten by the T-Rex just trying to film.
We'll see video footage going in the.
Yeah,
that's the movie I want.
That would be wonderful. The dinosaur people are selling like dinosaur selfie sticks. The thing is, the movie at the end pretends like it's doing something it can't possibly be doing.
Dinosaur?
It says, and remember, the tagline was "Life finds a way," which has nothing to do with this movie.
No, because life didn't find a way.
No,
we found a way. Well, kind of.
Okay, it's stupid, but it works in a stupid way. The clone girl lets the dinosaurs out.
The clone dinosaurs.
When she says, yes, the clone girl lets the dinosaurs out at the end when she says, they're alive like me. That line that we just rolled our eyes at.
Yeah.
That's how they're justifying Life Finds a Way.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I mean, I kind of assume that's what they thought they were doing.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing at all.
No.
But that's the...
also, she's a clone of a character that I'm
Yeah.
not sure who she is. They built a mystery around it, so I kept trying to... I was like, is she Laura Dern? Is she...
Yeah, and then they had that weird line where it's like she was...
she was at the park.
Well, and what's worse, what makes you think it's got to be a woman we saw, a female person that we saw in that first movie, is... It's a transition to another scene, and he says it in voiceover, and they make such a big deal out of it. He says, not just she was at the park once, and then he says, and she would have saved them all. And it just makes you think it's got to be someone you've seen before, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so you get to the end, and the movie thinks, we'll wrap up in a second. The movie thinks that...
This is also dense and a lot to unpack.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Just different kind of things.
And also,
that's with different things.
And also, I've been really looking forward to talking about this. So if I go over a little bit,
and you got to
guys
see
will
a
just
second
have to
time, so
bear with me. And I'm sorry if I've been doing most of the talking. I really wanted to be talking.
This is your franchise.
And I was so excited about this movie.
I know you were.
And it was just preposterous. But you know what? I may go one more time. It's so weird.
Really fun.
It's so
really
weird.
Fun.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's a really fun bad movie.
And that's the thing,
it's the most fun bad movie.
Like I have to do that for story, but I have to do that for entertainment factor.
That's what I did.
I can't flip the sign. No, I mean, I'm recommending it if you can not take it seriously.
If you're looking just to have a good time, especially if you're looking to like go and like laugh with some friends, hopefully not too obnoxiously, but laugh with some friends about like a ridiculous movie. This is the most MST3K-able movie I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, it needs the riff tracks immediately.
It keeps piling on. Well, I mean, like, I will want to do a commentary when this comes out. That will be so much fun.
Yeah.
Because it's just bizarre. And I don't... It's one of those things where you're like, how did this get made? How, after a movie that broke records, is this its sequel?
And by the same writer.
Got made?
It's by the same writer. It's Colin Trevorrow. It's the guy that got kicked off of Star Wars 9. He wrote this, too.
Wow.
Which
is weird because, and I don't want to get flack for this, people have asked me, like, was this like Last Jedi for you? Yeah, in the sense that I didn't expect it to be so out there.
No, this was enjoyably dumb.
But I mean, it was a different experience ultimately. Yeah. But
there's a point,
but it was not what I was expecting in a similar way.
Chris Pratt is laying on the ground. There's lava this close to his face.
Oh my god, it's great.
Do you want to talk about the logo?
Well, real quick, let me get to the Well, the thing is, with the logo, they did a great job telegraphing what this movie was, because that is
Jurassic World on fire.
Sure, but also just it's so ridiculous. It does a really good job establishing its tone, right? Like it like overproduced, overdone. We got 16,000 really artsy fartsy shots in the third act, where it was like, look at this shadow. You didn't think it was a dinosaur, but it's a dinosaur.
Did you see the thing I was
keep doing
Did you see the thing I was talking about when the island explodes with the lava and it looks like it's amber around the brontosaurus?
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be the amber thing? Was that what that was?
Like, look at this amazing symbolism.
Yeah, it was so...
It's so sappy! Sappy! Anyway, but, so, the most important thing to note about this movie, the worst thing about it is...
Michael Bay directing episode Touched by an Angel.
We just need a moment of silence for how great that joke was. You get to...
Everyone else, look it up on Wikipedia. Everyone younger than us, go look up Touched by an Angel.
Like Highway to Heaven. So you get to the end of this movie, and this is the worst thing about it, I think. And we say that, like, now we're gonna have to, in the Goldblum speech, now we're gonna, and also he needed to actually get to be in this movie because this is a movie for Goldblum, man.
Yeah.
Like how just freaking nutso and out there this is. You need a Goldblum in this movie. Anyway, but you get to the end and the movie is coming out and saying, like, now we're going to have to coexist and things will never be the same again. Just pick him up and put him in a zoo. I don't understand. What is the status quo now? And the thing is, it's not as big of a deal that they're on the mainland. We're acting like that's such a huge development. It's not because they're not new. Everyone knows about dinosaurs. That was a big deal in Lost World. Lost World's not good. I'd rather watch this all day long than Lost World. Because that
we're saying it's an enjoyable film to watch.
That movie's boring. But and also is built on some false
and it has Goldblum.
But yeah, and he's not any fun. Except for the couple lines he has that are sort of fun. But Lost World, it's a big deal when we get the dinosaurs to the mainland because everybody thinks Jurassic Park was a myth and it wasn't real. But people went to this theme park, and everyone knows the dinosaurs are real. So when they go to the mainland, that's only a big deal if they're uncontainable.
Also, theoretically, Jurassic Park 2 happened. We don't know.
Yeah. There's no telling. I have no idea.
I think Jurassic World thinks Jurassic Park 2 happened because
based on what?
Everyone knows about Hammond's vision, and it seems like the failed Jurassic Park is common knowledge at that point.
But they
although
just
I guess
it because there's an actual park. Although I don't know what you're right. I don't know why they would have had to have talked about it.
Although I guess Jurassic Park 2 is the one that makes it a myth.
That's true. Yeah, it is.
Based on Jurassic Park, you have no reason to believe.
So you're right. You do have to have Lost World, I guess, unless it came out some other way. Just because Goldblum in Ian Malcolm in Lost World is coming out and talking about it, nobody believes him. But that's where we have that.
But if you don't have that movie, no one doesn't believe him. We don't know that anyone doesn't believe him. See what I mean?
Right.
If you remove it, Jurassic World can slot in right next to Jurassic Park.
But then how do people know about the failed park? Why would that ever come out?
It's publicized? I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, why would that ever come out?
I don't.
That's why anyway you slice it, Lost World probably has to be in there.
Sure.
And also, I don't remember in what context or why, but Isla Sorna, I believe, is mentioned in this movie for some reason.
Okay.
And that's where that comes from.
Okay.
Because Nublar's where the park was, and Sorna's where they apparently made the dinosaurs and brought them over, even though that's stupid because we saw them being made in the first place in Jurassic Park. But that's already dumb because Hammond is saying, I always insist on being here when they're born, but he didn't know one was about to be born when he came up on it. It's really fun ripping all the Jurassic Park movies apart. Like, it's really fun.
I think this movie does have the Last Jedi thing of... I think it starts in a place where it's like, you think you know where we're going. You've seen Lost World. You think we are the Lost World to Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, but look, we twisted it.
Yeah, they're really in tune.
Someone needs to tell these people, just twisting it is not enough. You have to have reason and purpose.
Yeah. Tell them to come up with a completely different idea that has nothing to do with Lost World in the first place. If you want to compensate for that, why don't you start from not doing anything that movie did? Like,
there was not a gymnastics girl.
No, there wasn't.
But I would take her over this girl.
Yes,
this girl who starts as an okay actress and ends as one of the worst child actors I've ever seen.
I don't know. Go back and look at it again. I don't love some of the stuff she's doing at the beginning of the movie either.
Okay.
But
I remember being like, she's not bad, and then by the end of it being like, she's awful.
Yeah.
So that's material.
Also, once you know that twist, there are some eye-rolly things about the beginning. We foreshadow that she's a clone by having her act like a dinosaur. First, she's running around in the background like we're
That
supposed
is
to
our
think somehow
introduction to
dinosaurs
her.
are there already, and then the thing with the old lady where she goes, "Wah!" and is pretending to be a dinosaur. Yeah, that's foreshadowing that she's a clone. Wow. Yeah, they did that.
Wow.
And
amazing.
That reveal is nothing, and it's weird. It's weirdly placed. It's a very strange place that we put that, and I don't.
It's only there so she can let them out at the end.
That's it. That's the only reason it's
we
there.
We don't have to put that moral choice on either of our actual protagonists.
Right.
And it's not either of their fault.
Especially because we're already blaming them for half of what's happened. And I question a little bit how much any of that is Chris Pratt's character's fault. Owen's fault?
None of it's his fault.
No, it's not. Because, okay, so, let me break this down. We're going longer than I was going to on this, but there's stuff. Okay, so,
People are going to enjoy this.
We've got to talk about this. So, we've got a lot more to do on the omnibus, but I really want to talk about this. So, Owen is blamed for,
showing them that they can be trained.
Right, that's what I was going to say. But here's the problem.
So I'm just remembering.
Yeah. Here's the problem with that. First of all, so it's one of those things where I don't know if false equivalency is the right phrase. It's one of those things where you have, like, even if it is an indirect responsibility, you can't blame him for it because what he did was a good thing. If you have raptors and you can figure out how to train them so that they won't eat the zookeepers, that's a good thing. And you would never, like even if that is somehow weaponizable, are you saying that because that knowledge could get in the wrong hands, we should just not train the raptors?
Yeah. We also train.
I don't understand that philosophy.
We also train lions. We're not using lions in warfare.
If somebody used lions in warfare, you'd be like, that lion tamer's gonna feel really bad that he trained the lion. No, he's not.
Yeah, Sigurd and Roy, this is your fault.
Yeah, he's not gonna feel bad about that because the lion didn't get the stands and eat the patrons at the circus. It's like, I should have let all those people die so they weren't weaponized. Like, no, that's dumb. And they act like Owen has never thought of this before. The whole conversation he has with the military guy, Daredevil Kingpin, at the beginning of the first movie, who, by the way, they should have left alive.
Yeah. This movie needed him bad.
It needed him bad, because the guy who steals the teeth just wasn't cutting it, and he was a one-dimensional cartoon character.
His death is the greatest, just like ridiculous. Like, okay, this is literally the most dangerous animal ever created.
Ever.
I think it's asleep. Let me get its tooth. Oh no, it's alive!
And then it moves a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, these are really hard to pull out." Okay, I have a couple options.
I'll just pull hard.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
But with none of that nuance in his face because he's a cartoon.
None of it at all, and he knows it. I'm imagining the director doing exactly the same thing that you had with Batman and Robin. Remember, everybody, it's a cartoon.
He will not open his commentary with an apology.
No, probably not. I want to hear Schumacher talk about this movie.
Oh, I do too. Schumacher should make a Jurassic Park movie.
He should. He'd be great. But anyway, so whichever way they wanted him to go, because he's versatile, he would be great. He can make a serious one. He can make this. Anyway, so the conversation he has with the military guy in the first 10 or 15 minutes of that movie is that guy saying we should train the raptors to be in the military, and him saying we need to be responsible and not have hubris and all of that. No, he's not only thought about it, he's actively fought against it, and the bad guy in this movie is like, oh, you never thought of this, did you? And it's like, no, he has.
He's dumber in this movie than he was in the first one, isn't he?
A little bit.
Yeah. He's not... It's not like he's all of a sudden playing Star-Lord. He's a little bit more jovial. And he's a little bit dumber.
I just think they watered him down a little bit, and he wasn't a super fleshed out character in the first place. One of the things I was excited about was that we were using the same protagonists so we could give them more to do and learn about them, and we didn't do that at all. We lose them entirely.
Yeah, and the Bryce Dallas Howard is a completely different character, which I do think makes sense.
Which is not a problem.
I do think that makes sense. The problem
a lot has happened since then, and I like the idea that, I mean, maybe it's too much of a flip. I don't know, but I kind of like the idea that she turns into an animal rights activist.
No, I completely buy
think
it.
That works.
I buy that completely. That's exactly
because remember she starts calling them asshats.
Yeah,
and her mind's been changed.
Yeah, my problem is when the villain does go, yeah, but what is the difference between what you and I are doing, or what you did and what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And there is no rebuttal.
Yeah, and it's an easy rebuttal. It's not hard because he says, well, no,
But I learned,
you signed
and
off.
I'm trying to tell you
that too, but also still what he's doing is way worse than her.
Yeah.
Because she created the Indominus Rex, not or signed off on it, not knowing what it was. He says, well, you signed off on the Indominus Rex. You're doing what is different about this? Well, I'm not selling it to scary Russians and people that are going to use it for their own gain. And you remember the whole thing that the scientist guy says, where he's like, well, yeah, we're going to make more, but so will they. Those people are also going to make more.
You mean
Indoraptor?
No. What's the scientist's name? Because he comes back. He's back.
I can't remember. It's BD Wong.
It's BD Wong.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to say Wong, but
and by the way, he acts like he's in a Gotham episode.
Yeah, he does. No. And then there's also this weird thing that I had issue with.
Did Gotham retrain him wrong as an actor, or does he understand the material in both of these things? Did he walk onto the set and go, "Oh, so we're just making Gotham"?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I think he's one of the actors
This
that knows
has
what
a
Gotham
lot
is.
in common with Gotham.
It does.
And one of the big ones is, it's a weird dark comedy, and I don't know how seriously it's taking itself.
Yes. And I don't know if they know what they're making.
That's what I don't know if they know.
No, but I also have this weird moral question where we are picking and choosing, because we're told in the first movie that none of the dinosaurs are dinosaurs. We have genetically created creatures that look like what we think dinosaurs look like. That's how we touch on the Velociraptors not having feathers and stuff.
Yeah, that's why they don't have to be accurate to what we know about
None of them are real animals. But we're picking and choosing which ones are genetic abominations and which ones it's totally okay we made.
Yeah, that's right.
Indoraptor, it's monstrous that we've made this. But all these other ones that are basically was it white tigers? Like the ones that their whole lives are pain and we've just bred them because they look cool?
Yeah.
We're just picking and choosing because these are the ones we like, and this is the bad guy dinosaur.
It's nonsense, because the reason the Indoraptor is supposed to be bad is because we took its empathy away, and now we're treating it like robots.
Yeah.
Now it's like making androids, right? Yeah. We're acting like animals have some kind of equivalency to human condition. We took away the animal version of the human condition, and we made this really scary, like you said, abomination.
Because the I-Rex was so reasonable and empathetic.
Yeah, I don't understand that, and this is where I get back to the thing with Owen being partially to blame or not, right? We say, hear me out for a second. We say that Owen taught them how to control these dinosaurs, right? And that has somehow to do with how they're able to control the Indoraptor. And all they do with the Indoraptor is they point and aim, and it chases after laser pointers. I don't really know what that has to do with what Owen's research was, and why you needed Owen for that, but
and also, why is it more effective than a gun?
Right, but stay focused for a second. The reason we can talk about that, but the reason it's weird, Eric, is because we know from the last movie, but especially from this movie, that Owen's research had everything to do with figuring out that these raptors have empathy. You built one that doesn't, and you're saying that you can control it because of his research.
Yeah. Also,
is it because, he used a clicky thing, and you went from that to lights? I don't understand. Also, how's he to blame for this at all?
So, also, they have no...
And remember, he didn't control them. It was a relationship.
Yeah.
It's like they don't understand the movie they made last time.
Well, and so there's this really troubling...
I don't know if it's different writers, it's a different director. I don't know if it's any of the same people.
No, it's the same writers.
Is it really?
So Colin Trevorrow directs the last movie, and he co-writes it with another writer, I think. This movie is Colin Trevorrow and that other writer again. Because he doesn't make this movie because he's making Star Wars 9 that he later gets fired off of.
Weird.
So he might come back for 3. But there's this thing where surely these writers that are getting paid millions of dollars can't be not creative.
By the way, we saw this and kind of figured it wouldn't do well. It's doing fine.
Okay. And we also thought, just based on the reaction from
we thought that would hurt it a lot harder than it is. It's not going to do Jurassic World numbers, but it's going to be fine.
So I know it's impossible that people getting paid millions of dollars have no creativity. But so this is ridiculous. But before Jurassic World came out, they kept hyping up the I-Rex, right? And I was like, boy, when that thing comes out, or maybe it was just in the movie I was watching the movie, I don't know. But I had this thing where I was like, boy, when that thing comes out, it better have like a Stegosaurus tail, and like its arms better be like Brontosaurus.
Yeah, the Indominus Rex just looks like kind of a ghosty dinosaur.
Big gray T-Rex.
Yeah.
And the big new dinosaur in this one, big black raptor.
We called it the Blaptor.
Yeah, the Blaptor. Like, what? These are their ideas.
And it's weird because this is a point you made, but I'll bring it up.
I would rather the Stegosaurus from Dinosaur, who I love because he looks like Satan, like he's got horns and stuff.
Yeah.
And we just kill him immediately. Bummer.
The mix is weird, as you've said to me, because you took
we have raptor.
the Indominus Rex. You said we took the two most dangerous and powerful animals that have ever existed, one of which we created almost from scratch. I mean, not from scratch, but one of which we created by blending a bunch of stuff. We were basically like Sid from Toy Story, right? And
we also created the raptor, right? Because we specifically say it's not the actual raptor.
Well, no. The way you're putting it is overly simplified.
Okay.
It is the raptor with some with some notable changes in filling in we don't have an entire raptor. We have most of a raptor and then we fill in.
Okay.
That's different than we made up a whole new dinosaur.
Okay.
The reason the Indominus Rex was a big deal is because they made up a whole new dinosaur.
Right.
That is a blend of a bunch of different things, but it doesn't start from
79%,
85%. It's different.
Okay.
That's the distinction.
Okay.
The Indominus Rex is supposed to be a mix. The Indoraptor is supposed to be a mix between the Indominus Rex and the and a Velociraptor, the two most powerful dangerous things that have ever
most
existed.
Intelligent, creative, loving.
Right. Well, will be if BD1 can actually make a better prototype. He needs time to make his prototype that actually has empathy. He's working on the empathy gene or whatever. He doesn't say that, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know what's going on there. So anyway, but the Indominus Rex already had raptor in it. It wasn't like a big percentage or anything. But well, you know what though? It was enough raptor that it was able to get the raptors to join it as a group. So it's more than 2%.
Mm-hmm.
There's a significant amount of raptor there. So your mix is raptor with more raptor and T-Rex and a bunch of other stuff. That's your whole mix. Riddle me this, Batman. How come it doesn't have a cloaking device?
Yeah.
Why can't it turn invisible?
Well, because this movie would be over.
That's true. It would.
Also, I am not an auctioneer, but you have run some auctions or worked at some auctions.
I have. Mm-hmm.
Do you often show product?
That is another of my dream jobs, by the way. I would love to be an auctioneer.
Do you often? And it's Armzola in this. He's great.
Yes, he's great. He's so messed up.
Do you often show a bunch of product and then go, and we're going to show you stuff that makes that product look terrible, but we're not going to let you be like it's not done yet? Like it'd be like when they rolled out like the flip phone, and they're like, and just so you know, in a couple of years, iPhone, and people are like, no, I want that. And they're like, well, it's not done yet. There's some kinks. And like, no, I want that. Why would I want this flip phone? You have an iPhone.
Well, at the very least, I wouldn't bring one out. I'd show you pictures. Next week, we're going to have this. We have a prototype. It's not ready yet. Here's what it's going to look like. Come back and bid on that. That's perfectly reasonable. Right? Because people can't bid on that yet.
Well, like an animatronic. Like, it's going to be like this.
Why did you bring it out? Why did they... And here's the other thing. Why did BD Wong allow them to make a prototype? Like, what was the point of the prototype? If it is, like, that super dangerous, they're just gonna kill it when they have a good... I don't understand that. Why don't they make one that's just, like, not alive? Or, like...
Well, they kill it immediately.
Yeah.
I don't...
That seemed like a bad idea. I guess so that we have...
I mean, there's a lot of bad ideas in this
really
movie.
Scary... Yeah.
It doesn't help that the bad guy in this movie is basically...
about this all day.
Is basically, and could have been played by Daggett from Dark Knight Rises.
I kept wondering how he wasn't in this.
He turned this role down because he's Casting, right?
No, because I can't remember the movie, but there's a trailer for a movie where he's typecast playing that exact role before this movie. Or at least I saw it last time I saw this movie. I am enjoying ripping this apart so much. I think I like it because of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those I sound like I hate on ripping it to shreds. That's what's fun about it. I enjoy doing that.
It's a good bad movie.
It's not my feelings aren't hurt. Like, it's not what I wanted, but here's what I learned. This is the last thing I've got to say before we wind this up. The thing I learned about this is, for a Jurassic Park movie to work, or for me to really care, apparently, or to buy it, apparently it has to be about a park. If it's not about a park that's working or could be working, it's not. It's not.
You're a Jurassic Park fan, the park and world.
Yep, that's what I like. And this movie for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But some of the right reasons, just because I enjoy some of the dinosaur stuff. I mean, like it's a lot of fun. But importantly, the dinosaurs are just movie monsters. Yes. Almost never are they doing anything. We should have said this earlier. This is an important point. Almost never are they doing anything where I feel like that's just animal instinct, and that's why they're. I don't know why they do half the things.
And that was things you kept asking while we were watching the movie. You're like, but why is it doing it? Why did
I don't remember if it's a rat? That's why through the bars to grab the little girl, like. And
not
also,
quick like an animal would do it. It's slow.
Also, meant to say, because after this movie, I feel like anything could happen in Jurassic Park movies, and I would not be surprised anymore. Like when they originally,
like the Mecha Velociraptor.
Yes, they can do that. They can do that now. Like that's how they're gonna take down the T-Rex. The T-Rex is rampaging. Like Utah is done. And they send the Mecha T-Rex after it. Would not be surprised. No, they would send Mecha Velociraptors after it because we love the Velociraptors so much, and that's fine. So
you are not alone.
I am not alone, apparently.
Second most intelligent creature on the planet.
But when there was talk about revitalizing this franchise, one of the big pitches, famously, was human dinosaur hybrids. And that is not weird anymore for this franchise. We can totally go there. And furthermore,
hope it's Sam Jackson.
There was this really weird push-in, camera-wise, cinematography-wise, on the little girl at the end, on her eyes, that I don't know why it's there. Because it lasts long enough that it made me think that the big reveal with her was going to be she's somehow part dinosaur and she was going to have like a raptor eye flash or something. I don't know why that shot is there. It's really weird. But earlier when they're like you don't know what she is, and you get to the end, she's just a human clone. We can do that now. Like, it's illegal. We don't, but like
we can.
I'm pretty sure we can do that now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that was as big of a deal as they made it out to be.
How come we listened to that one? How come we went, okay, science fiction, we've heard you about the clones. AI? Gonna keep pushing this.
Yeah.
Gonna see what happens when we push this button.
Anyway, well, this went way longer than I expected it to, but I was having too much fun.
Thank you for coming to our spoiler cast for Jurassic World.
The whole full-blown spoiler. And you know what's going to happen? People are going to be so annoyed at us that we spent this long on Jurassic World and did not spend that long on Incredibles 2. We're going to get a lot of flack for that. We apologize. I just had a lot to say.
This was fun to talk about. No, this is a good bad movie. That's what's fun about it.
It's fresh in my mind.
Yeah. It's a good bad movie. This is... I like going to movies and they're bad and you can tear them apart, but it's fun. It's not, it's fun.
It doesn't feel like it ruins a franchise that you needed more in, because apparently I don't need more in this franchise. That's what I'm learning.
You know what else?
Yeah.
I'm also not insulted by it. Like, I don't feel like it's insulting my intelligence. Maybe a little bit if this movie's taking itself seriously, but I don't know. I can't tell. I don't feel insulted by this movie. I feel maybe a little embarrassed for them if they're sincere. But I don't feel insulted.
I mean, the thing with the girl at the end is when she's like, they're alive and so am I, and like, or I'm alive, like, they're alive, like me, and then she presses the button, like, that's gag me with a spoon, but it's appropriate for this kind of nutso.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Anyway, that's gonna be it for our spoiler talk on Incredibles 2. But mostly Jurassic House. We're gonna get Jurassic House T-shirts printed up. I've got Danny Nixon working on that. We're gonna try to make those available.
I'm excited.
What I've pitched him is I want it to be like a spooky looking house with Velociraptor like peeking out of it, like a big Velociraptor head just coming out of the side, where the head is way too big for the house, and then it's in the World logo, like Jurassic House.
Oh, see, I imagined Jurassic Park logo, but instead of a circle, it's like the Century 21 house.
That's good too, but I really think we need a giant hat on it.
No, you're right.
I think that's got to be there. Well, and he might and I might be able to get him to put like kind of a little house thing, sort of like the Pizza Hut logo, you know?
Yeah.
Like kind of a house top on the. Anyway, we'll get these made. We'll get these made. Hopefully, we can get some people to pick up the Jurassic House shirt. If somebody else isn't doing this, I'll be really surprised. Hopefully, we're first on it.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I haven't talked to a lot of people, but it should be called Jurassic House.
How is that not the title?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks again for watching, everybody. We're going to move on now to how we felt about. We're going to talk about some movies that we're not going to spoil the crap out of and talk for a full hour on. And everybody just watching this video, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. And everybody else, make sure that you keep the playlist running if you're watching this on the playlist. And we will get right to how we felt about after a little commercial interruption, I am sure. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you later, folks.